Hello people of YouTube, so welcome to this first video in this series on the Uno drum. And I'll just get my OCD out of the way and get it nice and straight on the camera. So this is going to be quite an in-depth series. I'm going to pretty much go through everything on here, the whole features and everything. For this first video I'm just going to do my little review of it, kind of an overview of the features, show you some of the sounds, go through the sounds and just give you a general idea of what it's about. And then there will be, I don't know, about 4 or 5 different parts on it. We'll go through the different sections of it. We'll look at the software editor, and also I'm going to go through all the different sounds you can get for it for free now. So, in terms of size and build, etc., it's exactly the same as the Uno synth. If you've come across one of those or seen my videos on the Uno synth, so it kind of matches it very nicely. They go together very nicely. They're both very, very lightweight, which is great for live performance point of view. Not a lot of weight to carry around. You can power them by battery or USB. I do find, I don't know whether it's the batteries I'm using, although I'm using the same ones that I always use in the Uno, but in the Uno synth, but they do seem to the drum does seem to eat batteries a bit quicker than the synth. The moment, so you can power it by batteries. If you just look around the back, we've got the on-off switch here, which we can power by battery or by USB. So that can be from a computer or straight to a plug. I'm actually doing it from a little mobile phone power bank thing, which is quite useful. So it saves on batteries because I can recharge this, or you can use rechargeable batteries or whatever. And then other connections around the back. We've got these micro USB ports for in and out. Sorry, not micro USB. What am I talking about? That's a micro USB port there. This is a MIDI in and out. And they come with these, I think it's a 2.5mm micro plug. You get with it adapters that go to standard 5-point MIDI in things. So I guess they've done that just to keep the size of the thing down. We've got audio in, which it doesn't go through the filter or any of the effects or anything. It's just purely audio that passes straight through. That's quite useful if you want to connect this. If you want to kind of pair it up with an Uno synth, you can take the audio, say, from the Uno synth, put it through this, and then control the volume of both of them from here. Works very nicely from that point of view. Then we've got a single audio out, single 3.5mm standard kind of headphone socket out. No dedicated headphone out or output. It's just the single output for everything. Looks quite nice and sleek and sexy. Kind of build sort of plasticky, but again that's going to keep the weight down. Like I say, very, very much similar to the Uno synth. When you first turn it on, it goes through its little calibration process, and then you're ready to go. It'll tell you which kits you've got, and so on. So let's just go through the features first of all. So at the moment I've got the factory sounds loaded in here. So we've got 6 analog sounds, which are these on the bottom. Let's just go through. I'll just give you a quick play though. So we've got this analog kick. Let's go with the analog. We've got kick 2. That's just analog snare, analog hi-hat, and an analog clap. And then along the top, so then on the top row, this is where all the PCM voices live, and we can have on each of these up to 5 different sounds. And also on the bottom we can have analog going into the PCM sounds as well. So you've got quite a lot of options for storing a lot of sounds in there. You can store, so any drum kit can be a mixture of any of those analog and PC sounds. So you can create your own kits. So if we go into kit, we can have up to 100 different drum kits. So if I just kind of play through a few of these, I'll keep the same pattern on, play through a few of the kits. Let's try a different pattern. Okay, so you've got loads and loads of options for storing all your different kits, and all of those kits are writable. You can write over any of them, so there's more than enough options for getting your kits sorted out in those. So we've kind of got, I mean, performance-wise, we've also got these sort of double velocity pads, you can set it so that the top bit and the bottom bit have slightly different velocities, so you can get kind of different bits. So while it's playing, you can you can actually use it as a bit of a performance thing as well. It's not massive, but it's playable. I find if you do them just like together like that on one bit, it's not perfect. But if you do top and bottom, it's actually pretty cool from a performance point of view. We've got a 64-step sequencer, so we can have up to 4 bars, which is very, very useful. You can also record parameters per step. You can have up to 8 parameters per step, so you can have tune and decay and everything else on each step. Patterns, and this is very similar to the kits. We can have 100 different patterns in here. Again, all fully programmable, so you can put your own patterns onto all of those. So, that's more than enough patterns. There's also a song mode where you can chain all your patterns together. And off the top of my head, I can't quite remember how many patterns you can chain together, but quite a lot, if I remember rightly. But I'll come on to that in a separate section. So let's just go through a few of they use a bit of weird terminology on this, which I will try and use as I'm going through each bit. So each drum part, such as the kick, the snare, or whatever, each of these is referred to as an element. Okay, so these are our elements. We've got 12 elements, and each element can be either analog or the PCM sounds. And then the sounds that we choose is the sound of the element. And each element has 5 sounds available. Okay, so you've got on the bottom row, it's got sound, you've got the analog sound, then you've got, that's your first one, then your second one, 2, 3, 4, 5 on there, then on the top row, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we go up to 5. Okay, so we've got 60 different kind of things available over there, because we've got 12 elements, each one with 5 sounds on each. When you load new sounds in, that only changes the PCM sound, so you've always got the analog options. They aren't overwritten, obviously, it's just the internal circuitry of the machine that is kept in there for those for the analog bits. We can have an element pattern. So if we're on a pattern, for example, if I choose this one, you can see the kick is playing on all 4 beats. Okay, so that is the element pattern for that element, and as we go on each one, you'll see these will change depending on what we've got in here. A pattern on its own is obviously all of those elements put together to create our drum groove, our drum pattern. We've then got the song, which is, I do know it now, I couldn't remember it earlier, but you can have up to 64 different patterns repeating themselves in a loop going across here, because you've got like a I won't go into that now. I'll do that later. But yes, you can loop together 64 patterns. So you can get really, really complex songs going on this, which is very, very cool. So then in terms of just the front panel interface, we've got kind of 3 sections. We've got the sort of the editing matrix bit here. We've got the play and the programming section here. Sorry, down at the bottom bit. And then we've got the master section here, which kind of does a lot of the global sort of settings. And I'll go through each of these in a separate video later on. We've also got a few effects built in. It would have been nice to have a bit of, I don't know, some reverb and delay and stuff, but we've not got any of those. But we have got a sort of a stutter effect, similar to the Roland Ira gear. We've got also a roll effect as well. So let's just have a look at the roll effect first of all. So whichever element you have selected, so at the moment I've got the snare selected, if we press roll, okay, it will do a roll for us. And we can change that to, we can have 8th notes, 8th note triplets, 16th notes, and 32nd notes. We've also got like a few like preset okay, and you can also record those rolls in as well. So let's just have a play about with that. Let's just get this pattern going. Let's go on to, I was quite liking pattern 6. That'll do. Okay, so stick some rolls in there. obviously we can, yeah, excuse my crap drumming then, but yeah, you can play along. That one, let's get a straighter pattern going. Okay, and so on, you know, you can have loads of fun with that. And you can roll anything, you can roll the kick, you know, and hi-hats. Okay, so whichever element you have selected, press roll it, it will roll it. We've then got the stutter, which will do different things. There are 12 different stutter settings, which I'll go through in more detail when we look at this section. And you can choose as well on the amount how many of the elements will be affected by the stutter. So if it's on 12, everything will get affected. Let's get a better. That will do. So you can kind of like loop certain bits around, and then you can kind of hear it's affecting the pitch on that one. And then there's different ones where it goes crazy. So yeah, great fun to be able to do that. Again, useful very much, I think, as a sort of a live performance kind of thing. So let's just go through a few of the sound. We'll go through most of the sounds actually in this, and then we'll leave this video here. So we've got the analog kick. So in terms of each drum, we've got different settings we can use up here. We've got level, which is obviously just the volume. We've also got separate velocity as well for each bit, which I'll cover in later. We've got tune. Now I'm on the wrong bit of the matrix because I've just turned the compressor up. Let's turn that down. There we go. So there's your level. We've got tune. We've got snap, which is going to kind of give us a bigger sort of transient at the beginning. And we've got decay. So you get some nice fat kind of sounds out of that. So various different kick drum sounds. We've got kick drum 2. It's a nice kind of punchy kick. Snares. So a nice mixture of kind of, you know, sort of 808, 909-ish kind of snares, and also some like very nice acoustic sounding ones as well. Hi-hats, opens, claps, and so on. Some toms. Rims, cowbells, got a classic kind of 808 sort of cowbell, and then ride. And so on, like a few crashes. You've also got a bit of extra control on some of the analog ones. If we go over to kick 1, we can do some FM nonsense on this one. If we hold this down, so that's flashing. Can tune a bit of FM and the amount of FM. We've also got a sweep time, which is kind of like a pitch sort of. You can just go do, kind of like a pitch sweep kind of thing. Okay, so you can get some very, very fat kind of sounds on there. Snare drum's got like a low pass filter thing on it, which kind of gets rid of the snare sound. Again, these are just for the analog. So if I turn that down, it's basically just kind of getting rid of the white noise element of it. So you're sort of left with that. So a few extra sort of controls there for the analog things. We got a compressor, which is going to give us a bit more kind of punch. Ooh. Let's just get rid of that FM. stutter and the amount of stutter again we'll cover in more detail in later videos. And then we've got swinger mounts, division things, which again I'll cover all this in later videos. We can humanize it as well, and mess about with the velocity. So that's kind of it for a basic sort of overview of it. My impression, it's a great little drum machine, very affordable. If you shop around, they go between, like, I think the recommended retail price is something like £200–220. I got this one off Amazon, and I think they're still the same price of that. I got this for 174, I think. You know, for what it is, it's an absolute bargain, and it does sound very fat, particularly the analog sounds. If you want some analog drum sounds, they do sound very nice. But just, you know, just general other stuff as well. Let's go through a few more. You know, and if it's, you know, you want to kind of get into the drum machine world, there's not much else on the market that can do what this can do for this price. You know, with the fact that you can do 4 bars. I used to have a Roland TR8, which I did actually sell. Kind of wish I hadn't now, but anyway. But that only, you know, you can only have like 2 bars and stuff on that, and A and B, and it was a bit of a faff programming. You know, this has 4 bars. You can chain all your patterns together. So yeah, really great value for money. Nice kind of improvement on the user interface as well. Just one last thing compared to the Uno synth, in that it does now have a data dial, whereas on the Uno synth it was like an up and down button, which was a bit of a pain. The data dial on this makes life a lot easier. So in terms of user interface, it's a lot nicer. And it's also got a really cool little software editor, which I'll cover in a later video, which does actually enable you to program your patterns and see your patterns actually on the screen on your computer as well. So you can use that as a standalone thing or as a plug-in in your DAW as well. So, you know, if you're not one for programming this, you want a more visual thing of your whole thing, which obviously you'll see when I come on to doing that pattern. Also very cool. So, yes, particularly if you've got an Uno synth as well, they work together very well. But highly recommended. It certainly gets a res recommendation from me. It's something that I'm going to be using quite a lot in my both my forthcoming productions and also playing live. So that's the quick review, kind of an overview and quick demo of the features. Let's just put the demo on for a bit while I'm finishing up. I'll turn it down a bit and we'll have that demo playing in the background. So next video we'll look at the editing matrix. We'll get stuck into that one in more detail and look at all the things closely we can do in there. And usual things, please like, subscribe, click the bell button so you get notifications of when I'm uploading new stuff. If you want to support the channel, I do have a Patreon where you can subscribe for either $1 a month or $3.50 a month, which will get you lots and lots of free stuff. This free stuff goes up on there as a minimum once a month, if not more than that, and that's going to be things like loops, patches, patterns for this. I'll stick some of this stuff up on there when I get around to programming them. So yeah, if you want to help, or if you just want to support me, you're not bothered about free stuff, then anything you can do on there is much appreciated. And check out my music on Spotify, all the usual kind of things. So I'll leave this video here, and I hope to see you in part 2. Thanks for watching.